John Farag. I'm a second-year Master's in Public Health student from Georgia Southern University, and I've also been accepted to start medical school next year. As I talk with a lot of my friends who are also going to be starting medical school, a lot of us are extremely concerned about the way that healthcare in the United States is headed. And my question is twofold: how important is it that we achieve, for the future of medicine, that we achieve a full repeal of Obamacare? And my second part is in point to the question you were asked on CBS this morning earlier this week, where the reporter accused you kind of trying to take away people's health care. How do we respond to questions like that?
Two excellent questions. Let's start with the first one, which is
Luke?
There are an awful lot of Republicans in Washington who I think are resigned to never repealing Obamacare. They campaign on it, but they've accepted it as a permanent feature of our country. I am not one of them. And I am convinced that in 2017, a new president in the White House will sign legislation repealing every single word of Obamacare. Now let me talk about how that happens, and let me take the second part of your question about positive health care reform and how to deal with it. Let me talk about how that happens. If you follow Washington rules, it won't happen. Washington rules at this point, what dominates Washington is risk aversion. Is the idea that any risk means I might not get reelected. If I don't get reelected, that is the end of the universe. You know, there's an old joke that politics is Hollywood for ugly people. So how do you change Washington? You change the rules. And the way you change the rules is exactly what Reagan did. You take the case to the American people and you mobilize the American people such that you change the cost-benefit analysis. You make it so the cost of doing the wrong thing is greater than the cost of doing the right thing. Let me give you an analogy that y'all will be very familiar with. In the tech world, you see lots of disruptive apps that come in and change how a particular good or service is delivered. And inevitably, the incumbent providers fight ferociously against that new entrant. So when an Uber or a Lyft comes into a city, what do? You see the taxi commission saying, this is terrible, we got to stop it. The simplest explanation of what I've been trying to do in the Senate is bring that same disruptive app to political decision-making in Washington. To move decision-making out of the smoke-filled rooms and to bring it back to the people. One of my favorite quotes from the New York Times, and there are not many favorite quotes from the New York Times. It's from a columnist, David Brooks, who said, only two people, Ted Cruz and Karl Marx, not a person I'm usually linked with, believe you can give power to the people. I have to admit, I read his column, and his column was an ode to the elites. We need to be governed by the elites in Washington. I read that column and said, you know what, I want to Xerox that and give it to every American. You're right. That's exactly what I'm trying to do, because the elites in Washington have been running things and they've screwed it up. And we need to bring it back. So how do we repeal Obamacare? The same way Reagan came in with this tsunami of the Reagan Revolution. It was millions of young people, of men and women, people from across the country who said, what we're doing isn't working, we got to have a change. And suddenly, it changed how Washington did business. Reagan cut the top marginal tax rate from 70% to 28%. And went from stagnant economic growth to 4 years later, over 7% growth a year. Which meant, we were talking about young people coming out of school with 4 or 5 jobs, When you have 7% growth a year, that's what's happening. He did it because he went to the people and he changed the dynamics. That's how he got Washington to change. So how are we going to repeal Obamacare? We're going to do the same thing. It is my intention the next 2 years, every day, to take the case to the American people that Obamacare is the biggest job killer in this country. It has cost millions of Americans their jobs, forced them into part-time work, taken away their health care, their doctors, and they're facing skyrocketing health insurance premiums. Now, the second half of your question. What's in its place? Listen, everyone agrees we need health care reform. But health care reform should follow from basic principles. It should expand competition. It should empower you, the patient. And it should keep government away from getting between you and your doctor. Now, 3 specific reforms that embody that we can talk about when people are pressing. Number 1, allowing people to purchase health insurance across state lines. What that would do is create a true 50-state national marketplace, which would let people purchase low-cost catastrophic health insurance. The single biggest barrier to access is cost, especially young people. A lot of young people can't afford health insurance. If you had low-cost catastrophic plans, there would be far more people able to access. You want more choices, you want more access, you want more choices at lower cost. What does Obamacare do? Fewer choices and higher cost. Number 2, we need to expand health savings accounts so people can save in a tax-advantaged way for more routine or preventative health care. And then number 3, we need to de-link health insurance from employment so that your insurance is personal. If you or I lose our jobs, you don't lose your life insurance, your car insurance, your house insurance. There's no reason you should lose your health insurance. And that goes a long way to solving the problem of pre-existing conditions, because that most often comes up when someone loses their job and they've gotten sick and they can't get a new policy. Every one of those empowers you, the patient. So your question was, how do we respond? I think we need to respond by saying this is all about empowering you, expanding your freedom, increasing your choices, and making the market work better for you, rather than having Washington step in and taking away jobs and taking away health care. And with that, I just want to say to each of you, thank you, and God bless you.
Senator a round of applause.